The Arccos Golf app sensor tracker extraordinaire. This is my unboxing, and at the end of the video, my take on these. In the quest to improve our golf game, we have picked up Arccos. These bad boys right here are the little instant club trackers, data trackers, everything like that to get your golf game. When I first saw these years ago, I was like, oh, that's kind of silly. I thought, that's just doing too much. You know, I'm a field player. That's too much to just have all this stuff, all this extra stuff on your clubs. And like these in particular, you know, you have, here's the original little tracker piece, right? You have this, you carry it in your pocket. And then these are the little pieces that go on the end of your handles, the grips, the golf grips. And that's how it automatically tracks your club choice and how far you hit it and everything like that. So I remember seeing this years ago and I thought, man, this is just overkill. Not only overkill, but it's silly. Like, you don't need this stuff. You just need to spend time getting acquainted with your clubs and how far you hit everything, and, you know, just give yourself time to do the reps. Now, older, wiser, maybe far-reaching to be better than I actually am, and using anything that I possibly can to get there within reason, I'm like, let's give these a shot. The real reason that I decided to give these a shot is because I basically just swallowed my pride, the ego and everything went out the door. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I could tip this without these falling over. Boom, there we go. So you have one of these. Oh man, let's see if I can get it out of there. One of these per club, and you screw it on the way it works. Take my lob wedge out. Right here, the end of your golf grip, you screw this on in there, and it just kind of sits, call it like that, at the end of your grip. And there's enough to have one on every single club in the bag. Now, when I pull that club out and I go and I make my swing, not only is it calculating with the GPS and all that, where it's keeping track of your score for the round of golf, but it's keeping track of where you were on the golf course when you chose that club. You hit the shot, it tracks it automatically, and then it will pick up at your next shot. When you pick your next club, you go and you hit, whether it's a putter or a wedge or an iron or a driver, anything like that. So automatically tracks this, stores your data. Through time and enough rounds, you're gonna be able to say, okay, I definitively have a right miss, or I definitively have a typical left miss. And what that does for your golf game, this is a very simple aspect of how you can use these. What that does for your golf game is it allows you to then take better aim at the targets that you're aiming for. So whether it's off the tee and you say, okay, you know, I want to end up right there. Well, if my typical miss is right, then my aiming window, I should shift left, because then if I hit it exactly where I'm aiming, then we're okay, because I picked a safe enough line there. But if I miss it and it goes right, which is my typical miss, then that miss is actually still going to be in a good position. So you're going to start playing toward, if you hear people say play to your misses, or golf is a game of misses, you start playing toward that. And this should very quickly shave off some strokes in your game, especially if you're not, you know, a scratch golfer, if you're not, you know, a plus handicap. If you're new to the game, relatively new to the game, you play a couple rounds of golf and this should give you some form of consistency. See, one of the biggest things when you start golf is you're like, I don't even know what to expect. Like, I'm brand new. I don't know what my typical miss is. Is my typical miss left? Is my typical miss right? Is it typically long? Is it typically short? And there's so many things that you're trying to keep track of when you're starting out, that trying to remember, or not even remember, but try to know confidently what your miss is, that's, I would say, almost asking too much from a new golfer. I haven't tried these out yet, obviously, just unboxed these, so this isn't a, hey, I'm vouching for these type of thing. I've read, seen, and consumed enough information from people that have used them and online, and watching how they work and all that stuff to say, I'm pretty confident this is going to be a good choice, a good thing, and all that. But this isn't a product endorsement at all. This is just saying an added tool that is going to help alleviate some of the mental weight that comes with picking up the game of golf. As a new golfer, when you're just like, I have a million things to try to remember, this will be able to track your data and collect it in a way that you don't have to remember. You can review your round after you play, and you can go, oh, okay, here's where I was giving up the most strokes. I lost so many balls off of the tee, so maybe I shouldn't pull driver as frequently because I'm just so inaccurate with that. So maybe I'll take the next longest club that I'm a little bit more accurate with, and it's still long, not as long as a driver, but being in play one more hole around is going to be worth that separation of, you know, the driver from that club. So a lot of different ways you can use this, and I'm excited because I haven't used it yet. This is going to be a very first time for me, a first go, and we're going to get these bad boys onto some clubs here and see how we go. Let's start with you here, since I already pulled you out. Okay, I think we just put these bad boys on, and then we'll be pairing them afterward. I think that's what we're doing. So we'll twist it in here. Let's see how this feels and fits. Wow, it's a pretty snug fit actually, which is nice. That feels, wow, that feels fine. I fully anticipated having some weird feeling with that, like, oh, it's longer, it feels, maybe I'll feel like there's more grip there or something, but I think actually what makes it nice is it tapers in. It's a little bit smaller than the grip is out, so call it the diameter of it, a little bit smaller than the diameter of the end of the grip, so it doesn't feel in any way like, oh, I have added grip. It actually feels like it tapers off. I'm not gonna, oh, hello. I'm not gonna feel that even at the end of my grip. I don't feel that at all, so that's pretty sweet. But let's go through our bag here. Let's get them all done. I'm gonna see if I can give a view of this here without breaking a band window. So you literally just push it on, push and twist, and that's it. Sweet. Now would be a good time to go to time lapse for the rest of these. All right, so far so good. We have all of the clubs, as you can see right here. All the clubs have the little attachment mounted, but with the putter, although it's very cool because indicated in the box is the specific putter attachment there. The problem is on this specific putter grip, the Super Stroke rifle grip, this won't fit properly. So as these have all been screwing in, it won't screw into this little tip. There's something on the end of this Super Stroke putter grip that's kind of like, I think this is because this was in the era where people were using like the broomstick. If you haven't seen those, it's just where people used to hold a putter up to their chest, and then they would, it was literally that long. And so this grip allowed to make an attachment, sort of like the added extra club shaft there. But the problem is now that hole is way too big for the Arccos plug, so I don't know how I'm going to get the putter one on here. I think this might be the case of, I don't know, maybe I don't want to glue it on there because then we have issues when we go to maybe switch it to a different putter. But that's the one issue that I'm having right now. So this will not fit. I guess maybe if I really hammer it down in there, which I don't want to do because I don't want to break this sensor. Yeah, I just don't, there's not a way that this is going to fit on here right now. So as far as putting goes, this is the issue for me. I don't know how this works. I don't know the technology behind it. So maybe I can kind of like mount it upside down in a way right here, or I don't know how I'm going to get it. Maybe I'll pull this out and then kind of tape it on there just to give it a go and see how that is, because it sort of fits just over that little gap. So toss you down there. I think that's my plan. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna insert this like that, even though it doesn't fit well. I'm gonna insert it like that and then maybe just tape it. Just wrap some athletic tape around that. So that's the only issue I have right now, which I don't think it's an Arccos issue per se. It's probably pretty unique with this specific putter grip, and even this grip, they probably don't even make the grip the same right now because broomstick and anchoring and all that stuff is no longer compliant. So probably just a case of bad timing on my part, but let's see if we could somehow make this work with some athletic tape. You know, they say it's not a problem in the world that duct tape and WD-40 can't solve. If it moves, and it shouldn't, use duct tape. If it doesn't move, and it should, use WD-40. There it is. We're gonna need a little bit more tape than that. But this is my current fix for now. We'll see what we end up doing. I want a new putter anyway. I'm due. I don't say due as in, you know, you should swap your putter every this often, but I say it because there's one putter in particular I've been eyeing for quite some time. Every time I hit it, I'm like, man, I need to just switch to this. But I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, so here we are. This one here, the even roll, pretty dang good putter, if I do say so myself. Okay, let's get you nice and snug in here. Don't want you going anywhere. How's that? Okay, so now we have the set. And I believe now I have to do something to pair these. And what's cool, so that's 14 clubs right there, and then there's 2 extras. That's cool because if you followed along and you saw my previous unboxing video of this beauty right here, this nice, beautiful 2-iron. I just put this one in the bag, but I still have a 3-iron, so depending on where you're at, if you're like, oh, you know, sometimes I shuffle, you know, sometimes people have more wedges and things like that. So if you're somebody that has kind of 16 clubs that you shuffle, maybe sometimes you play with a gap wedge, maybe sometimes you play with 4 wedges, 2 wedges, whatever. As you shuffle through those, it's cool to have these 2 extra ones that you can just leave in those additional clubs. So like for me, it'd be a 3-iron. That's my additional club here. So oh, look at this, a quick start guide. This is what I needed. I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, how twist sensors into your club. Check. Download app, create account, check, select your club, select all clubs with sensors. Once you've chosen all your clubs, tap start pairing. Pair your clubs. Keep all clubs except the one you're pairing in your bag to eliminate errors. Take out the club to be paired, remove and discard sticker from the sensor, place the sensor in front of your phone camera, and the club will automatically pair. Once you pair a club, return it to your bag and continue until you've paired all clubs. Okay, so start by putting this makeshift putter. So we got to put clubs back in the bag, it says, so that you don't make errors. That would be wise. Clearly they've been there, done that with a lot of folks that probably a little absent-minded. That would be me. I'm too giddy over this new technology, new toy, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, pair. And it's like, you've paired your driver with what should have been your pitching wedge. Let's do this. Making sure these are all spun down and tight as I place them back in. Done. Well, now that we have that connected, we're going to throw on some of the best golf shoes ever created. Shout out to Adidas. These bad boys right here. Grippy, grippy. And they're comfortable. Don't roast me on my outfit. I'm not a style guy. So at first, you could probably see it in the video and sense it. I was a little bit skeptical. I even mentioned that I saw these years ago. I was like, should I get these? Should I not? I was skeptical. How do these things even work? How accurate are they? And even if it tracks the shots, how is this really going to be beneficial to my game, to improving my game, lowering my scores? So that's how I was at first. I'm one round in, having just played that one round. You saw a few shots from there, and I'm in. I'm all in. This is genuinely 10 out of 10 for me so far after just one round. Actually, I'm going to call it a 9.5 out of 10, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So the tech, I didn't understand it at first when I was unboxing. Again, I didn't even read the instructions. But the way that these work, as I learned, is the sensors, when they're on your club. Let me see if I can find something here that would act as a golf club. Anyway, when they're on your club, right, you have the club head and you have the shaft like this. When it is club head down as if you're about to hit a shot, that's when it's activated. That's when it's turned on. But when the club is upside down, like the handle down, like when it's sitting in your golf bag, then they're in sleep mode. So that's one way how it turns on to say, okay, once you flip the club over, you kind of have it there, and it's like, oh, okay, hey, I'm active. Pay attention for a shock of vibration, because that's the shot, and that's where we, boom, drop the mark right here where it is, whatever. So what they recommend essentially is, if you're going out and it's like, what if you're in between clubs? You take two clubs out of the bag, whatever. They just recommend just hold the club upside down while you're traveling to your golf ball. And then once you select your club, just lay the other club down. And that's it. So that's how you can stop from false shot tracking, basically, where it's like, oh, it looks like you pulled this club and hit from here, and now you're hitting from 4 feet away from that again with a different club. So you just keep it upside down until it's the club that you are like, okay, I'm going to use this one, and you hit. There was also a little bit more in there that they got into detail about practice swings and how to stop false shots from appearing when you're doing practice swings. I don't remember that, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but that's minor to all this. My overall take, fantastic. One round in, here's a couple of the notes that I had. So already went over the tracking vibration. The putter, which you saw in there, there's one sensor specifically for the putter. That's just a higher sensitivity vibration tracker, because you're not hitting the putter as hard as you're hitting all the other clubs. So the vibration sensor is turned up on that. That's why that one specific is calibrated for the putter. And then in the app, it's actually pretty easy. There were 3 times, I think it was, in my round that there was a false shot tracked. And it's so easy to just pop in and be like, oh, boom, quick delete or adjust it. At first, I was just like, oh man, what do I do? I was kind of stuck, but it's very quick and easy once you got it figured out. Again, minor learning curve here, so worth it. So I shot 78 in this round, and there were 3 times. So 78 shots, there were 3 times that there was a false shot in there. Very easy, again, to just go in there and be like, oh, I didn't hit this ball 2 feet with this club, and then pick a different club, whatever, right? So 3 false shot tracks out of 78 shots, pretty dang good, especially since this was my first round. I would just chalk it up to hey, I'm learning this new tech and how to operate it, whatever. Now, after, they say it's kind of like your handicap, right? You want to get a few rounds in there before we say, here's the data, here's what your game looks like, where you're weakest, where you can improve the most, and so on. But this is just one round of golf for me, and I was like, whoa, I was pretty well blown away. And I'm going to show you here in a second. I'll scroll through the app so I can overlay it here and you can kind of get an idea. But the stats on there, my distances, the yardages, and everything like that, after one round, there's an AI generated distances based off of what you had there, that it maps out all of your clubs. So in a previous video, I shared what's the best way to go figure out your club distances, your actual distances. Go to a range that ideally has a launch monitor like Top Tracer. You see the physical ball flight, where your ball lands, but you also have the launch monitor data, so you can compare these two, and you have multiple variables that say, okay, yes, this goes this distance. This is insanely accurate. Arccos is crazy accurate, and this, after just one round, it had a wonderful map. I'm going to show you that here in a second. The one thing that was off for mine was, I think it was my gap wedge. And the reason for that is I pulled gap wedge for a lot of shorter distances that I just wanted to kind of flight the ball a little bit lower than it might have been a typical lob wedge distance, like a full lob wedge distance, but I wanted to flight the ball lower. So I pulled my 50 degree. So that's the one in there when you see the curve of my distances of clubs that, again, because it's only one round, that's the data that it has. The only times I pulled the 50 degree were shorter shots than the 56 or 60. And it's because I wanted a lower ball flight in there. But otherwise, everything else, bang on accurate, pretty crazy. So after just one round, it's like that. I'm pretty pumped to see what happens when we get a few more rounds in there. Let me see what else I have in my notes. Yeah, overall, my take on it, I wrote 10 out of 10, but because there were those 3 false shots, I'm going to give it a 9.5. But those were very much user error. Now, let's get into, let me overlay a little bit here, and I'm just going to talk out loud while I go through this. So here's the round of golf right here. Boom. We're in the Arccos app. One round. That's all I have in here. And we can go through, on this day, actually, we started on hole 10. So hole 10 was my number 1 for the round. And boom, there you see driver at the bottom, and then pull the 60 degree and then 1 putt. And then we go next hole, 7 iron, boom. That's where I ended up, 3 putt from 54 feet. And it's all of this stuff is so incredibly accurate. Driver, actually, I think this is inaccurate, actually, because this one, if I recall, I'm making this video now. This was a month ago. If I recall, though, this right here was actually not my driver. This was my 2 iron that I hit into the bunker. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that hole. So that might be an error. So 9.5 is still standing, 9.5 out of 10. But you see all of this stuff, right? Like I can click on the driver and it's like, yes, that's great. If I did want to go back, you can see how easy it is to just swap clubs there. So let's say I wanted to go back and I go, oh no, that wasn't driver. That was actually my 2 iron, right? Driving 2 iron, boom. Then I just click done and now that's adjusted in. But this is it. Like this is how easy it is to track. And it's not like I had to go into the app and manually go, oh, let me move this. The 6 iron was over there and blah, 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 blah. It just automatically does all of this. So pretty dang cool. And then if we go, let's say we get out of here, right? We exit this. Let's go right here. Smart distances, your smart distances. This is from just one round of golf. This is what it has your setup for, like, here's the distance each club goes. Like if you are looking for your driver or your 4 iron or your 2 iron hybrid, blah, 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 blah. These are the distances. And yeah, you see there the 50 degree, it has me at 88 yards. And that's, again, what I was explaining there. But these are the distances of my clubs. This is after a single round. Now, obviously, more rounds, larger numbers, more data to be able to get more accurate with these. One sec, buddy. You want to talk to? All right, go ahead and pull your microphone out. Pull that mic out and get on talking, kiddo. But yes, so this is what's really cool about this. Very, very impressed with this for a first take. But if my impression of this, if it ends up being crummy or there's something, I will add and drop another video about it. But so far, I'm like 10 out of 10 for this bad boy, genuinely.